Minifandom! All of it!
All right, Mary Cullinane, motherfuckers, and welcome back to Minifandom. It's the 27th of December here. It's Boxing Day, US time. And what a way to celebrate the holidays than to catch up with one of the Minifans that's just come out of nowhere this year. And I'm with the Drip Lord himself, the king of the drips, the lord of the drips, the most biggest drip of them all, Patrick Ford. Patrick, welcome to Minifandom. Feel like it's been too long.
It's a Christmas miracle. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. And, this is why I love doing Minifandom. This is why I love this show. This is why I love the fans of Minifandom because, I love getting Minifans on and getting to know them a bit better and going through some show stuff. And it's almost, I guess it's fitting that you're on the episode after Jeff Lowe was on, your great
It's my
admirer.
guy. It's fate.
Yeah.
It's fate.
Now,
That was a great episode, by the way. No bias, but great episode.
Thank you, Pat. And, while we're in the taking care of business segment, I just want to ask your opinion on this. Do you think of all the things that was said on that episode, if Kirk asked you to play one clip, you'd play my terrible jokes about Kelly Keegs? Because Augustus is just having a shocker of a week. I mean, there was a lot more interesting stuff.
Correct. There certainly was. I think when Gus took over, we knew there were going to be ups and downs. I just didn't think they were going to be this way up and this way down. Yeah, it was interesting that was the one piece of audio. I found it funny because all I could hear in my head was Mick just yelling "horn dog alert" like he was about
True.
Montante. But there was much more in that he could have cut up, and that's the stuff that I don't. That's a frustrating stuff. I'll preface that with saying I like both of them. I think both of them are doing a good job. I think you've said the same thing. But yeah, that's the stuff that drives you nuts sometimes.
Yeah,
obviously drives Kirk nuts too.
Definitely. But there was a great reception to the Jeff Dillo episode. Kirk listened to the whole thing. So they were really good. And, I've got another Minifandom coming soon. I'm hoping to do one with Andy Mayo. So that's the plan.
Oh, my buddy.
Yeah, your buddy. you did you do a show with him in studio?
No,
Were you
no.
Lucky.
I just said I didn't like him in studio. And I think I've walked that back a little bit. He's definitely an annoying guy, but I feel like he could probably be. I'm assuming he's a nice guy, right?
He's a great guy, but no one likes him. I mean, he's
that's fair.
He's an awful person.
That's fair.
awful person. Anyway, so that's taking care of business. Now let's get into the show topics. And you mentioned the two producers. Well, massive swing and a miss. It looks like they're going to release the 7-hour best of episode on the morning before the show goes back. I mean, this is a huge whiff. I think they've said 30th of December. What are we doing?
29th. 29th or 30th.
So Friday,
yeah, that hurts
and the show's due back on Tuesday.
My initial thought was, people were getting on Coleman about it, rightfully so. But my initial thought was that lands more on Gus to kind of, lay that. But I mean, I forget who brought it up. Somebody took screenshots of the last 4 best ofs with the dates. All you have to do is go back and kind of look at the dates. So I hope they get it out a little bit sooner for all of, for everybody's sake. But yeah, that was tough to see this morning. Kirk's perfect timing tweet made me laugh.
Yeah, I'm starting to. I've got a new nickname for Coleman. It's Cruising Coleman. He's just cruising around, just sitting back on holiday. He's in Florida now with his family. Drinking,
butterbeer.
Or fire
that's
trucks.
Harry Potter beer. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Or some like the very pink drinks or something, and just sitting back and not caring about the best of, just leaving it all to Gus. And I think it is a bit of a swing and a miss because I had this whole week off with no content, and it would have been the perfect time to drop the 7-hour marathon. Maybe today, Boxing Day, would have been the time to drop it, not 3 days before the show comes back.
And I think David and Marilyn tweeted out before this that I think Gus is going to do a good job with it. I think this will be where he really digs in. My only concern is if he does too much. He said he had like 76 different episodes that he wanted to feature in there. When Dave did it last year, was last year 8 hours or was it the year before that? or maybe both. But anyway, even with it being like 8 hours, there's only like 14, 15 episodes you can feature. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I can imagine it's going to be a mess. But look, we'll be the judge when it comes out. I'm looking forward to seeing how Gus does. Um, what do you think of all the mystifying lies by Gus in the last week? The biggest egregious one was he writes down Christmas, and somehow he's just sticking to the fact that he wrote down color name, and I just don't get how you can stick to a lie like that. Like, what do you think of it?
He's definitely a nervous guy. You can hear it in his voice. Because when I've been on before the show, he's not like that. Like, it's not like the whole very skittish, not pronouncing words. Like, it's pretty open conversation. So he's obviously nervous, but that's going to be the deciding factor for Gus, I think.
Mm,
Um, if he continues to lie, because I think what he's brought in for, what he's being, is exactly what it was intended for, like a punching bag. But
yeah.
the infuriating little stuff, just constantly kind of running around the truth or not wanting to like fess up to it, you knew what you were getting into. Like real stuff gets talked about, so that'll be the breaking point for him. I think he'll figure it out, but we'll see.
Do you
What do you
think
think?
do you think my theory could work out that Kirk wears him down in a way that he wore down Cullinane to a point where Gus almost quits one day because he knows the writing's on the wall? Like, I can see Kirk just working away at Augustus if he keeps up this sort of tardiness, because I like Gus, but he has shown himself to be a bit lazy, and attention to detail is very important as a producer. So if it got so bad, I can see Kirk just wearing away at Gus until he quits.
I see what you're saying, but I do think that he has that mentality of this. I think he knows what he was brought in for. I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't be
Hope
floored
not.
if it did happen, that he finally had enough. But I think Kirk said it before. I think he has a very, very, very thick skin. I mean, people, every
Mm,
day is. It was Christmas morning.
good.
My kid was opening presents. I opened up my phone, and it's like people pulling up tweets from 2011 from Gus,
Mm.
and so he deals with it. I think he'll be okay. But yeah, it could happen.
Because a week ago, I was thinking, okay, well, I think the bashing is getting too much, and I think it's getting a bit boring. All the Minifans, all they keep talking about is Gus ducks, Gus is lazy, and then he has a week like he had last week, where he doesn't listen to 2 minutes of a clip. He doesn't listen to whole podcast he's submitted. He doesn't cut audio properly. He lies repeatedly, not just once, but there was probably 10 lies last week that were all found out. So every time I think Gus just deserves a break, he kind of puts himself back in the firing line.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The one thing I'll say, and I'm a huge Coleman guy. I think he was the right guy for the job. And I'm
Cruising
not saying this in a
Coleman.
bad way. Cruz
Cruising
and
Coleman.
Coleman.
I think it sounds better if Trump were to
Gus,
say it. If Trump were to call up and say, Cruising Coleman. Anyway, Trump
he
call
hasn't
of that
called in a
spear.
while.
Yeah.
It's been a couple months. The one thing I will say is that all of the antics over the last, however long it's been, he's bailed Coleman out a couple times because
Mm.
the audio during the live stream, granted, it gets fixed during the podcast, and that's all that Kirk cares about. But there are things, and he's new to it, I get it, but there are things that are kind of going unnoticed, not unnoticed, but not really the frontal point. I don't even know if that's a word, but
Just
that
make it
they're
up.
not the main. Yeah, we'll roll with it. And Gus has kind of taken that heat off of him. It might not even be heat, but there are like miscues that are getting totally looked over because people just want to, like you said, slam on Gus. And I agree
Mm.
with you. Sometimes a little bit too much.
So, Drip Lord, if you were grading Gus and Coleman for their period so far, what would you like to grade them? Would you like to give them a score out of 100? I think let's do a score out of 100 because that's how Jeff
Okay,
D'Lo rates movies, and I know he wants to suck your penis.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. For Coleman, I'm gonna go with an 86 out of 100 so far.
86 out of 100 so far. That's a very strong
I don't
start.
think he's bordering on B plus yet. I think he's a very high B, but he's kind of hit every mark that Kirk's wanted so far. I think he's been a good, filler of the position for
Well,
me.
86 out of 100 is an A plus. Isn't that an A distinction in university or something like that?
No, that's different. 87. I think 87 to 89 is a B plus.
Okay,
Anyway,
right.
he's a high B.
Okay.
He's a high B.
86 out of 100.
Um,
Yep. And Gus, Augustus. Gus, Andy boy, Drew.
Gus, I'll go with 71. Like I
71.
said, he's been
So what's
brought
that?
in to
C
do
plus?
everything.
What's
C
that?
minus.
C minus. Okay.
C minus.
I feel
Everything
like
that
we
he
should
was
have
brought
just
in to
gone with letter
do,
grades. We should,
1,000%. I had to think way too hard for that.
yeah, we'll
But
do letter grades from now on.
he's been everything he's been brought in to do is he's been doing it. It's just the little stuff, the lies, the not pulling audio from certain stuff. Like even if you look past the lies, like you should be listening to all that
Mm,
stuff. Like we listen to all the Minifandoms. We listen to all the network shows. Like you should be dialed in. And if you can't, I guess get an intern. I mean, you
mm.
should be able to. I think though.
I guess that's where probably the only criticism for this duo is haven't really yet got an effective intern. Like they've got Josh who just comes in once a week, but he doesn't even
Josh,
listen to the show. He
I
certainly doesn't
like
listen to
Josh.
Minifandom. I like him too, but they probably need a couple more interns sort of doing stuff for them. But I think those marks are about fair enough. I mean, if you're giving Coleman a B plus, that's about right for me. He has been impressive in. He does work hard. He's very involved in the Minifan world now. I think he actually genuinely is starting to really get into the world. Like I don't think it's forced or anything. Like because he's young and impressionable. He's a goofy, dumb kid. He doesn't even
Yeah.
know his own sexuality yet, so he's very impressionable. So,
Fair.
Kirk's got a chance to mold him, almost brainwash him, and train him to be his good little lapdog. And so far, Coleman's doing a good job.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you gave him obviously you gave them shit for not being too dialed into the network early. Even so, after that, I've noticed they've started talking about the network a little bit more on the show. Like Gus will always bring it up as a
Oh
topic, but
yeah, they've been very supportive.
Every Friday night, Coleman is in the YouTube chat for
Mm,
Mike and the Minifans watching,
yeah,
which you can catch up on later. It's a Friday night. He's what, like 24, 25? He could be out doing something, but
it could
he's
be at a
kind of
gay
doing.
bar.
So I agree with you. He's been impressive in that sense.
Yeah. So moving on from the producers, do you think BA is right and I'm the Minifan of the year instead of Jeff Lowe?
No, I think
No.
Jeff is the Minifan of the
Okay, good
year.
show.
I'm not
Okay,
saying that
thanks for
just
coming
because
on. Thanks for
we're
coming
such
on.
close friends. Yeah, no, appreciate it.
Great
Thanks for
to
having
meet
me.
you.
But nice to meet you as well. I think before I really got into like watching Mike and the Minifans, watching the network, all that stuff, I didn't really know of you as kind of knew of the Australian guy, and you sounded like an asshole. Like I didn't like you without even notice or without even watching any of it or
This is
paying
very
attention to any of it.
hurtful. This is very
But I
hurtful.
think with this last year, hey, we shoot it straight. With you being the CEO
I
of the
guess
network, like kind of it
that's the
growing and
interesting.
everybody being more involved in it.
No, but that's interesting you say that because
Oh, if you broke
you know.
up.
Okay, am I back now?
Yeah,
Anyway,
you're good.
there's a big Minifandom has a huge audience, and so those Minifans, and I have a great relationship. So it's interesting to hear someone that didn't listen to any of that stuff that you thought I was an asshole. Like, why would you think that? I'd come across as such a nice guy.
Gladys listened to Kirk would kind of just be like, fuck that guy. Before I
Yeah.
really listened, or he gave you shit, but in like a joking way, obviously.
Mm.
But now I've listened. I think I've caught up on all of them. The Minifandoms. I'm a large
Yeah.
fan. I got my top 25 list. I did a top 25 list over a year ago.
Great.
I'm the Minifandom co-host. That's how sick in the head I am.
Oh, excellent.
That's an illness.
Top 25 Minifandom co-hosts.
Minifandom co-host. Yep.
Great.
And over a year ago, I did.
Oh,
I
so-
found it in my notes on my phone.
Anyone in particular jump out at you? Bring it out. Bring it out for me. Obviously, Red. Obviously, that fuckhead Red. Did you like him? Were you a Red fan?
I have Red. No, correct. I have Red as number one because during that time where I didn't really know you, I thought you just flew off the handles. He kept you in line. You would say something crazy, and now you got BA. BA was like, "Yep, that's my boss." So I love BA, but Red would put you right in your place, and I liked Red. I think you guys worked very well
Well, he
together.
was a Cullinane defender,
What
and
else really jumps?
you go on. Who have you got on your Minifandom list?
Oh yeah, he's a Cullinane fanboy, that's for sure.
I enjoyed recording with the same person generally every week, but it's a different show then. I sort of also like meeting different Minifans. Having you on and having someone different next time. I think it's great for the audience. Um, and Red's breast just so
My dead last
huge.
is that yelling.
Go on, sorry.
Do you remember that guy yelling Menners? I had him
Yes.
at the bottom of my list. That guy was
Okay.
terrible.
Yeah. Who else
He
is
just
on the?
disappeared, but that was a tough listen.
Give me your top five and
The
bottom five.
bottom,
Well, bottom five and
uh,
top five.
Red, Tim and Canton, Tim Ridgels, Montante, and McFuss
That's a good top
My
five.
bottom five. It's
I
come a
forgot
long way.
McFuss Daddy was on.
It's come a long way from a year ago. From my bottom five is starting at 20, and like I would change a lot of these now. Daver at 20,
I
Bobby
agree.
Fitz at 21. Me saying that alone probably is put my life in risk. BA at 22, who I think is a great, whatever. Yelling Menners at 23. Kevin and Bristol. And then I had VD
Wow.
last. I don't know what I had against VD back then, but yeah,
Wow. It's an interesting list. So yes,
I was
I'm the
dialed in.
So you think I should be the Minifan of the year? I got confused with what you were saying. What were you saying? I'm Minifan of the year because BA keeps wanting
I'll
to
go
give it to
back.
me.
Yeah, I'll go back to that. No,
Okay. So
no, my friend
Jeff
Jeff.
Dilo.
It's my friend Jeff.
Okay.
But
Would would I be second?
I would put you in second.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I would
so
probably
good.
put you. And I don't disagree with BA being 3 either. I've
Mm.
seen some people say like, oh no, like throwing different names around there. I think that's a solid top 3.
Yeah. Thanks. I agree. And if
Trying to
Jeff
think who
Dilo is
else.
kind of ineligible, that kind of makes me de facto Minifan of the year. Just
Wow, you
nod.
give me a lot of authority to make these decisions. I
That's all
appreciate it.
right.
Yep.
It's all right. I know. No, well, you're the drip lord. You're the lord of the drips. You have a lot of clout. You clout Vader, as they
Good
say.
0. I'm a good 0.
So speaking of this, then, Patrick? Tell me, how have you coped with the unwarranted attention?
Cope with the unwarranted attention. Oh, are you talking about like kind of like sneakers whenever I tweet something out, just
No,
taking a dump on me?
just
Kind
generally,
of stuff like that.
how have you coped with the fact that you came into this world this year and you've got a lot of un- unwarranted attention is the joke, but you've got a lot of attention. I'm asking you, how have you coped with that? Because, we'll get into your backstory before, but you don't seem like you've got any kind of background in broadcasting or podcasting. You're not one of these people looking to get to Barstool. You're just an average Joe, an average schmo, sitting at home with your family. And all of a sudden,
A good
Jeff
0.
G. Lowe's, ready to get on his hands and knees and take it from you. Every time you tweet out, you get a lot of, yeah. So how have you coped with the attention, Patrick, from
The
Jeffrey?
thing, Jeffrey, the thing that I like, I don't really think about it too much. The thing that I like about it the most, like kind of like getting new followers or stuff like that, is there's more people to talk about the show with. Before
Mm,
I was kind of like really invested in this. I didn't really know anybody, but when after I was on the show, like a bunch of people reached out and kind of just it was an opportunity for me to talk about the show because I've tried to get some of my friends into it. I've gotten my neighbor into it now. But it's difficult to get into, like if you haven't really
mm,
caught on from the beginning. So that's been the really only difference for me. My tweets still are not funny. It's still the same thing. I'm
true.
very boring, vanilla.
Okay. I find we'll go back to it, but I find as well sometimes when I'm out, like with friends or family, and they say, "What's been happening?" I want to say, "Oh man, Gus has just been lying through his teeth all week."
Yeah,
Mick and his brother aren't talking to each other. Coleman's heading to Florida and not doing the best of. But then you realize people would think you're a crazy person, so you don't say any of it.
yeah. Speaking of that, are you Team Al or you Team Mick?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I think I'm Team Al on this one. I think Mick's been a little bit sensitive here. The little fella's got a little bit overexcited, I don't know what's wrong with him, but I think Al supporting him is perfectly fine.
I'm Team
What
Mick.
about your team, Mick? Why?
Definitely, not definitely Team Mick. I'm Team Mick because I see it. I see it the way he sees it. That his brother is like obviously he's upset that he didn't get the job. Fine, and like the
Mm,
booing thing was probably annoying. But I could see. I don't know his brother, but I could see that being his way of trying to slide his way
okay.
in and kind of use Mick not getting the job to get himself more stature.
Al's
So I don't know if
always
that's
been
the right word.
Al's always been kind of annoying because he messaged incessantly to the account. He's been always badgering. But
Yeah,
I
that's
but I
right.
think Al comes from a place of like, I mean, let's be honest. If your little brother was Mick, surely you'd feel some responsibility to look after him. He's suffering from a number of illnesses. He's Mick's starting life from behind the start line. He's got a huge handicap, poor old Mick. So Al's probably grown up wanting to look after him, and he doesn't get the job. He gets emotional. He's defending his little brother. I think Mick should be a bit more understanding of that.
Yeah, like I guess that's fair. I could see it both ways. I mean, I think they're going to be in studio. Did they say January 2nd? Like the first show back is going to be both of them, or no? I
Mm,
could be wrong in saying that, but I think they're both going to be in the studio at some
yeah,
point.
yeah. It'll be a big flop, I reckon. I mean, Mick tweeted out that they didn't talk to each other at Christmas. I hope that's true. I hope it has
It's kind
led
of
to
wild.
yeah. But yes, I'm Team Al at the moment. But let's see if you're right and Al turns out to be a big clout grabber and he's just after some attention, like say Kane is Abel. I mean, have you ever seen anyone wave their hands around more than Kane is Abel? And that's coming from me, and I wave my hands around a lot. But it's becoming very sad, don't you think?
He went from being hated in my eyes. I was like, this guy sucks, to now I see him as kind of a guy that just I almost feel bad for him because
Mm.
every like that Mike and the Minifans the other night, that was a half an hour of just I mean, obviously there's some mushrooms involved with Tim crushing him, but the guy got absolutely bamboozled. And I just think he's a really, really, really weird guy.
He's very
Like the
strange,
tweets
but
over the last couple of days, tweeting out the pictures with the old lady.
yeah, and then he was doing pizza
Makes me laugh, I
reviews.
guess.
I mean, he's all over the shop. It's very bizarre, not entertaining, not funny. Anyway, that's what I think about Kane is Abel. I still want to get him on Minifandom though. I think I'd like to, get into that brain of his and just find out what's really going on in there, if anything is actually going on. 'Cause I think probably nothing's going on, but we'll see.
That's a lot to unpack. Yeah, that would be
Mm,
a lot to unpack.
yeah. I need a degree in psychology. So let's wind it back, Dr. Ford. Were you a Kirk guy from before he went to Barstool or post?
No, I think it was because I'm listening back now and I'm kind of coming around the point where I started listening.
Okay.
I remember him from EI. I remember him from EI. Just my dad was a huge fan. I didn't really. I don't even remember if I. The only thing I remember is weirdly calling into like the show once. I had a weird thing about calling into like random radio shows. But anyway, my dad told me to get into it. Right around the beginning of the show, and I jumped in and that's really when I got hooked is right around because right now the episode I'm on is McAfee.
So that's
Right
pretty
around
early.
now is when I got in John McAfee, the lunatic.
That's late 2019, isn't it?
But I wasn't like yeah, I wasn't crazy like as crazy as I am now, like canceling plans on Friday night to watch Mike and the Minifans. Like I wasn't that crazy until like the last probably year.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, then I just went full in.
And what are some of the things that really got you into the show? What is it about Kirk? What is it about the show? Take me into your fandom,
I
Doctor.
love it because you never really know what you're gonna get. You never know how long. You never know how much you're gonna get one day. And for me, it's kind of strange to say. It's like almost therapeutic. And I listened
Mm.
to like each episode like 3 or 4 times, which is obviously a little crazy. But I don't know. It's like somebody who's he'll admit it crazy. I think we're all a little crazy. Just
Mm.
talking without a filter, talking about anything and everything openly and honestly. It's refreshing and it's like very addicting. Obviously.
Listen 3 or 4 times. I usually listen twice, sometimes 3 times. I'll certainly go back and listen to some episodes. I mean,
Well,
go on.
you screwed me a while, not on purpose, but you tweeted something out. It was right around. It was like 2 years ago, right around this time. You tweeted out a podcast that Carabas was on, some baseball podcast. It wasn't even Section 10, I don't think, but you tweeted it out on Pocket Casts. I think the
Mm,
app is for
yep.
podcasting. Is that right?
Mm,
My OCD is like I have to listen on YouTube, I have to listen on Spotify, and then I have to listen on podcasts like the Apple Podcast.
mm.
After a while, I was doing it on Pocket Cast too, and I hated that app. So yeah, that's like my weird tick, I guess you could say.
Geez, you are a Fruit Loop. I love Pocket Casts, though. It's my favorite podcast
Yes.
app. Pocket Casts is very good. If you're looking for a good podcast app, I
Oh,
thoroughly
you know what?
recommend Pocket
You're right.
Casts.
I liked it because you could fast forward 45 seconds. I remember that
Well,
from
you
that
can actually, I
era.
think,
So
set the buttons to your own, whatever you want. Um, you can customize the buttons.
oh, I didn't know that. I'll
Yeah.
have to revisit.
Um, so, and I guess, so then sort of looking at the history of the show, you've got Steve era, you've got the Cullinane era, and now you've got the Gus Coleman era, the Cruz and Coleman era.
3.0.
Yeah. So what sort of era was your favorite? Were you a Steve guy? Were you a Cullinane guy? Tell me. Tell me, Doctor.
I was not a Cullinane guy. I was not a Cullinane guy when he was on the show when Steve was the producer. Like I just went past the part where Dave was trying to sell advertisement for the show. Like
Mm,
something about him just aggravated me. So when Steve left and he was replaced by Dave, I was like, oh God. Like I was not thrilled about it, but I think it was very quickly. I was like, okay, this guy's nuts. Like this is going to be good. I like this guy.
mm.
And then quickly after that, Dave became my favorite of the two between him and Steve. I
Interesting.
think Dave just gave. He didn't mean to give any. He didn't mean to give any of the content, but he gave a lot of content between the
Mm,
whole. One of my favorite episodes is the Spanish teacher
of
with Greg
course.
Polar in studio.
Yeah.
He said that assaulted. So yeah,
Mm.
I was a huge Dave guy towards the end. I was sad to see him go, but seems like he's doing well. I don't know if he's working. I don't know what his deal is. He's just
He'll be like Mutt.
trying to be Chad Finn.
He'll be like,
Hopefully it works
actually,
out.
Cullinane and Mutt will probably start a podcast in a year because they'll just have no other option. Um, that Cullinane and Mutt could do a show on the network. That would be very good. Um, so Cullinane got
What's
you
up with
in?
that? You gotta. Is there anything you can do?
I don't think so. I think,
Or it's just a lost cause.
yeah, I think Mutt and I's relationship is irreparable now. I've just accepted it.
It's a
What can
shame.
I do? Sometimes this is why Kirk is so fantastic because sometimes when you get close to your heroes, they disappoint you, but Kirk hasn't, whereas Mutt is a massive disappointment, just a huge fat disappointment. And like his son, just God, a big fat disappointment. Um, so
Not to
Cullinane,
help you.
well, fuck him. I'm sick of it. I mean, he wanted to lord over us, because he once used to do wrap up shows of the Red Sox. He can go fuck off. Um, what about Cullinane? He's the one that got you in studio, yeah?
Yeah, that was doing the producer search. He brought me in because I remember during that I just saw these guys kind of just trying to like tweet about themselves and hype themselves up, and which is natural. But that's when I tweeted out that thing of how many times they've tweeted about themselves compared to
Right.
how many times they've tweeted about the show. Because I felt like it was a lot of me, and then
Mm,
that's when Dave brought me in. But
okay.
yeah, appreciated it.
Any gossip from
Life
going
changing.
life changing? Yeah, unwarranted attention. Um, just tell me any sort of gossip from
It certainly was.
when you've been in. Any behind the
Got
scenes
like
stuff?
gossip from the producers or
Yeah,
just in
just
general.
going in, when you've gone into studio. No, just
No, I was shocked when I first went in because I was like, everybody talks about how he just walks in, sits down, and goes.
mm,
I was like, he'll come in and at least talk to the producers or go over stuff. Just sits down and goes. I was I was mind blown. But no, there's not really much gossip. They kind
Appreciate
of like they're cutting clips. Gus is always yapping, but it's not really anything show related. He's just going and going and
it. Mm.
going. There's nothing fake about that guy. I'll tell you that. I think he's just a full crazy person. But no,
Well, I
nothing
mean,
really gossipy.
you just said you have to listen on every app because
Oh,
you
I'm
open.
glad. Oh, no. One thing. I'm glad. I'm glad that Mick. I'm glad that Mick came out and said that he shit in the studio,
Okay.
because that was, I think, my first time there, and he went to the bathroom for like enough time for it to be a shit, and I know that's a no in that studio, so I was in a tough spot whether to rat him out, which I didn't want to do, but I'm glad
Mm.
he got that off his chest. It made me feel better.
Yeah, I think anyone should shit
That's
in
it.
this. Anyone should shit in the studio. Like it is so emasculating for Gus to be like, go down to where does he go? Donut. What is it? What's Dunkin'
Dunkin'
Donuts?
Donuts.
I
I've done
mean,
it.
to just be a man. If Kirk's there,
Yeah,
just
I've
buy
done it.
some
That
coffee.
bathroom's disgusting.
It's just terrible. It's so emasculating. Um, okay, so I know you're big. So I guess just so winding back, how bad is your obsessive compulsive disorder if you have to listen to like, and this is going to lead somewhere because people with OCD are usually good at golf. So, do you just like, do you walk around behind your wife
It's really
wiping
only
up?
it's
Do you beat the shit out of your wife if she like leaves something in the wrong place or
No, not anymore. We got over that. We're in a good place.
good? I'm
Just
glad.
kidding. No, I have to have the radio. The radio has to be on an even number, and then it's the podcast, and that's really it. Like I
Okay.
don't have much more than that. Oh, I have
Okay.
to clean the house every night. If like somebody else in the house cleans it, I have to clean it. But that's it.
Okay. David Beckham does that apparently. If you've seen his documentary, so you're in good company.
Striking resemblance as well.
Definitely, that's what I was thinking. That's why I brought it up. So obviously,
Yep.
OCD
Glad.
translates well to golf. So you're a good golfer, is that right?
Yep. Yeah, I used to be. I was like an assistant pro and a teaching pro for 5 years.
Okay. Do you
Lived down in
get it?
Florida for a little bit.
Do you like Riggs content, or is it even too boring for you?
I used to like it, but I just don't. I don't watch much of it anymore. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't really do anything for me. I think that they're good at what they do. Like I'll listen. I'll watch the thing that Frankie did with Kirk, where they did the 9 holes and everybody competes against each other on the leaderboard. I'll watch that, but other than that, no, not really.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Greg
not
just kind of disappeared, huh?
Riggs.
Yeah, you don't really hear from or hear about
Yeah,
him anymore,
I
as
well,
much anymore.
I did a Christmas broadcast of my new show, Tiny CEO, and I'm hoping to get picked up
Yep.
by the Token CEO network. And in my risers and fallers of 2023, I did have Riggs as a faller in the
Oh,
KMS
that's
world.
right. Yep.
Yeah. So, do you think Tiny CEO
That's
has a
pretty good.
future? Do you think Tiny CEO has a future?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it does. I'm sure Erica, I mean, it would be stupid of her not to try to pick it up, to try to get it under her
Absolutely.
umbrella, because that show does so well. Her Token
Mm.
CEO show, it's so riveting.
Yeah, and it'd be a huge get to add to the network, to her network.
1,000%. It'd
Yeah.
be a game changer for them.
Have you been to any live shows?
Yep, I went to the Sacco show prior to the 29K. That was
Yeah.
my first live show. And then I went to Portland.
Yep. How
And
drunk was
then
BA? On a
Plymouth.
scale of 1 to 10, how drunk was BA at Portland?
I didn't go out, so I didn't see any of that madness, and I'm
Okay.
very happy and fortunate that I did not. But I've
Mm.
heard some horror stories. Obviously, the one we famously know about, but yeah,
Did you stay in your room eating almonds? Is that what happened?
I'm allergic to almonds. I'm allergic to
Okay.
all nuts,
Really?
so that's a
Anaphylaxis or
shot.
just
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah, I'd be toast. I'd be toast. So I just gave some people some ammo there. Um, but no, I didn't really go out. I don't drink or anything like that. So
If Sneakers gives you any food from now on, do not eat it. Matter of fact, if
imagine.
any
Yeah, I
Minifan
got you a
gives you any
sandwich.
food from now on, do not eat it.
Yeah, certainly no. Certainly no. That'll
Okay,
be it.
so give me a Portland score. Give me a letter grade because we've done
A plus. I was
A
I was
plus.
blown I was blown away because I was only used to the Sacco show that I went to before, so I didn't really know what I was going to get. I heard about the Wilbur, but I didn't go. But
Mm.
yeah, I was blown away.
And then the Plymouth show. Honest, come on,
B
don't suck.
plus.
That's being generous,
No,
yeah.
B plus.
That's being generous, yeah.
Well, he went
You
for
don't
like
want to
3
upset Kirk.
hours.
Yeah.
No, the show went for like 3 hours. Even though the audio wasn't great, it was still entertaining.
Mm.
And that's where I was I was annoyed and aggravated with you after that. I did not like you for a couple of days
Why?
after
What did
that
I
show.
do? I wasn't even in there. I wasn't
Yeah,
even in the
you were
country.
the first person to tweet something shitty about the audio. Retweet,
Okay. So,
retweet, retweet,
so
quote tweet.
how
I got
right was
over it.
I?
I got
Cullinane lost his job because the audio was so bad. All I'm doing is, as I said at the time, it's like I'm watching a football game from the sideline and I'm just commenting on what happens. Had I been
I
in
understand.
Plymouth, I would have tried to help. I would have tried to save the performance. But
Save the
um,
day.
yeah, I mean, I'm 10,000 miles away. I think the anger directed at me was very misplaced. I mean, one Kirk Seamus Minahan was not
1,000%.
happy at me.
I was also very, but because I thought I saw a lot of good in the show, even though the audio was tough and the screen was small. That's why I think it was still a BB plus. But yeah,
Okay.
I saw your I don't know why it was like rolling through my feed of like 6 retweets
Mm.
basically in a row. I was
I
like,
think
this
people
guy.
thought.
But nope, I'm over it.
I think people thought I was taking joy in people's misfortune when I
Yeah,
wasn't. I just, love drama. I love the,
you love
I'm
the tea.
disappointed though that, a lot of people, my friends traveled, like Joe traveled from the Midwest all the way to Plymouth and they couldn't hear the videos. And, I am disappointed that they never followed through and actually aired the videos. I think, again, it's just some fart assing around from Cullinane. I think Kirk should have made the videos be aired. Even people that bought a ticket, they could have just exclusively released it to the people who bought a ticket to the Plymouth show. There's ways to do that on YouTube. Anyway, look, old news. Let's get to the present, Dr. Ford.
Fair.
A few rapid fire questions from me, then we're going to get into listener questions. Any Minifans in particular you'd like to meet?
Any fans I'd like to meet? It's definitely a
I'd like to meet
few.
Ned Snark. I've never met Ned Snark. I've never met BA.
Yep.
Love to
I'd
meet
like to
those
meet
guys.
BA.
Mm.
BA seems like he's fun. BA seems like a fun guy. I'd like to meet Ziggy.
No,
Something
he's
about Ziggy
terrible.
makes me laugh. He's
He's
very
terrible.
no.
I met him at the Wilbur. Awful, 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 awful guy.
um, David and Merrill, I'd like to meet. Everybody says that he's too much on Twitter, but so am I. So we're kind of simpatico on that one.
Mm,
And I'd like to meet Sneaks. I like Sneaks, even though he's always tweeting at me. He makes me laugh.
yeah, Sneaks is a great guy. Where are you
I
on
think when he
Steve?
went in when he went in studio, because that's where I was like, okay, I like this guy's all right. Like I kind of get it's not a bit, but I was like, I kind of get everything that he does. I remember before he went into studio, I tweeted something like "Thank you, Kirk," and I got a tweet from this guy at House of Pain, whatever it is, and all it said was "pussy." And I was like, I'm not getting into this. I was like, I blocked that account right away. I didn't even know it was him. But no, I think he's entertaining. They make me laugh.
Where are you on Steve from Gloucester?
I think I like Steve. I go back and forth like every day between when he's on in studio and when he tweets out his crazy, bit stuff. But I think I like Steve. I think he's a nice guy deep down who just likes the show. I accused him of not listening to the show at one point, but I was wrong in doing that. He definitely, I think he's been around for the long run.
Yeah, it is like they've brought in this kind of hammy Italian guy just to come on and talk in a Sopranos like accent. I mean, I like him. He's done great for the network. He's producing content for the network. I'm, really appreciative of that. I think he's very bizarre, the way he's approaching everything, the way he's like, I don't know, he keeps saying it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Like, what opportunity is it actually?
In his Twitter bio, it said podcaster at one point.
Yeah.
He changed that pretty quickly to entrepreneur after.
Mm.
I think Montante pointed it out that he was like, but you know what? The point that really drove him, like to cement in my mind that I like him was the last time he was on. There was obviously do not fly list and no fly
Mm-hmm.
list questions that he didn't want to be asked. Kids, family.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who he was in with. My God. But they asked him questions about, how long you've been married, all this, and he answered them all and didn't kind of hold back or pull any punches. So I gained respect for him there. I like
Yeah.
Steve.
He didn't do a Brie Hunter and put the old block up, which was her death knell.
Jesus, that was a tough. She was a tough lesson.
Not tough to look at. All right. How another question. How long until Coleman comes out to us?
I'm torn between June of 2024 or I think he's straight
Okay.
deep down. I'm still not holding out hope, obviously, but I
Wow.
still think that he is a straight man.
Okay. I just want him to be happy. That's all. I just want him to be happy, and
Exactly.
he should be who he wants to be in front of us. He doesn't have to hide anything.
How great would it be if him and Gus were, sneakily an item behind the scenes? That'd be great
Well,
drama.
Gus just got married. I mean, let's not root for adultery here.
No, I
But
apologize.
like Gus and Mick. Say Gus is fired and Coleman brings Mick in because they've been having an affair on the side this whole time. Um,
That would be awesome.
all right. Is Rico done with the show or will he make a comeback?
I think he'll make a comeback, but I don't think it'll be like Kirk just randomly letting him back in. He's going to have to come out and do something or state his allegiance in some way because he's been very quiet about it, his kind of disappearance. But I think he'll be back, but it's going to have to come with some sort of, I'm sorry for, whatever I did and all that.
Okay.
Which I
Yeah.
still can't
Well,
really figure out I'm trying to figure out what he did exactly. I think they talked about it a little bit, but I
I
can't
don't think we know
remember.
exactly. I don't think they've said explicitly what happened, but
No, they've hinted at it.
I think Rico was sort of waving his arms for attention from someone other than Kirk. Yeah.
Rosillo, that's what it was. He was on that Spaces with Rosillo, and he hates
That's it.
Rosillo. Got
Yeah.
it. Now I remembered.
Okay. How terrible was that Cullinane hockey story? I thought it was terrible. He had this bit. I don't know if it was a bit, but the hockey suspension. I thought. I know you love Cullinane, but that was a bad bit.
Oh, it was terrible, but it was typical Dave. I think Dave brought that up to think everybody would be like, "Oh, it's a shame.
Who's
Your nephew
banging
got
around?
suspended a few games.
Who's banging around there?
Is it loud? I don't know. I think it's my.
It's all right. I'm just curious. It's not me anyway.
Huh. Sorry, I'll
No,
yell
it's
up there and
fine.
tell them to keep
No,
it
no, no.
down.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Minifandom's not that important. Just thousands of people watching. Yeah, no, that was a terrible
Thousands, really?
Terrible Cullinane story.
That was a Dave story of how he wanted everybody to just be like, "Oh, that sucks. He got suspended for 2 games. Like that's brutal." But in reality, it totally backfired on him, and he got stuck. That I enjoyed it because that's classic Dave just being an idiot. But yeah, it was awful, terrible
Yeah.
story.
Will you? Sorry. Do you think Harry Minahan will take over KMS one day? He said he wants it.
No,
It's a three-way battle.
it,
I see me, Mick, and Harry now battling it out, and Harry's probably got a height advantage over me and Mick.
that's true. I don't know. He seems like he's more into like the Boy with Uke. Maybe it would just that'd be funny if he turned into a Boy with Uke fan show.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right, I don't know either. He's too young to tell. Last question, then I'll throw the floor over to you. But do you think 2023 was the best the show has ever been?
Yes, I do.
I
I think it
agree.
had the best. Every it was firing on it is firing on all cylinders. I think, but I think it was and is firing on all cylinders. There was so much content. There was going above and beyond for doing five shows a week when he's only contractually obligated to do 3. Um, Giving us everything and more. So yes, I think 2023 was the best year.
I think so
Thank you, Kirk.
because I mean it's hard. It's like sort of I don't know picking between diamonds or something. They're all fantastic years, but
True.
this year I just thought great some live shows with a lot of things to talk about from them. Then the producer search lit up the internet. Kirk also lit up
Yeah,
Barstool, which added to the show. And then you look at the end of the year, the Coleman Gus era with the network. In conjunction with the network, I think the show's never been better.
agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed. It's been the best year
yeah.
by far. And, it kind of
20,
had a little bit of everything.
2020 was pretty good. Like 2020 would probably be my second year. If you sort of 2023, 2020, 2022,
2019,
2019.
2019 had a lot.
Yeah,
It could
2019.
2019 was up there for me.
And then the
Obviously,
last year,
recency bias because of
2021. Because I think that's when, was it 2021 when Steve was already checked out? It was, yeah. And then he left and Cullinane came mid
yeah. Did he
2021.
leave in 2020, 2022 or 2021?
2021.
21, yeah, towards the end.
Mid
Yep.
2021. And then Cullinane was there for basically 2 years.
Yeah.
But he checked out after about 3 months.
Yep. That's very apparent when like Coleman comes in and like he's doing the wrap up scenes and he's doing stuff for the
Mm,
fans like that. Because I was, like I said originally, I was upset that Dave left, but after seeing that, I was like, okay, he's kind of holding back on us a little bit. These guys are going to be good.
definitely. Nice guy, but lazy as. All right. Well, before we get into the listener questions, Mr. Lord Drip, anything you'd like to talk about the show? Any questions for me? Anything you want to get off your chest? Any Minifans annoying you? I mean, now's the time. I mean, it's holiday season. Get it off your chest.
Um, get it off my chest. Question for you. I
Okay.
was thinking about this earlier. I don't know why. What's your favorite show moment if you can pinpoint it to one episode over the last 800? And I know that's difficult to do, but there are some
Oh,
that
it's
stand
not
out. I think.
difficult at all. It's
If
not
you had to
difficult
pick
at all.
one,
Easy. It's
oh, I know it's.
go on.
You're going to say the death of Steve Robinson.
Well, no, 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 no. I mean, that's in there, but the episode Steve quit is my favorite episode because it just made me so happy. It's like a little Prozac pill for me. I just listen to it every now and then, and it's a great
Even show.
episode of yeah, it's a great episode of podcasting because obviously it's a total surprise to Kirk. So and Blind Mike. So it's fantastic content, but also for me, it's just the relief, the joy, the happiness. So that's number one. Number two is the episode where Steve got suspended when myself and another person on Twitter uncovered the deleted
Yep.
audio. And number three is the death of Steve Robinson. So they're my three favorite show
Okay.
moments. Mm.
Those are three pretty good ones, all
What about
revolved
you?
around one centralized topic. My
Mm,
favorite episode that I think I've gone back to and listened to the most was the episode where Justin quit and Alex Bennett also screwed Kirk over. That episode had absolutely everything.
mm. Okay, yeah. There's so many good episodes. I just love the episodes where Kirk has the ability to roll with what's going on, and that's actually what um, live YouTube brings is you can get a bit more of that momentum. And it also reminds me,
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but that's something that Kirk and Callahan had. The show always had momentum, like it always felt like it was steaming forward. I know you didn't listen so much, and those are the best KMS episodes where it's just surprises and Kirk just moves so fast. His brain is so sharp that he can just keep up with it. Be there with my sort of jaw open for most of it. So, but I
They
sort
even
of,
mentioned that too when they
mm,
talk about the Twitter account, how Curtis and Ken used to do a fantastic job with the Twitter account, stirring up shit and, kind of what it's lacking now.
definitely. All right. Anything else, or do you want to get into the listener questions?
Trying to think if I have anything else to get off my chest. Oh, I thought that between the Minifandom with Julie and her last episode, I think I've turned the corner on Julie. I think I like Julie a little bit more.
Interesting. I really like
I
her.
think she gets a lot of hate,
But she's
and I was
awful.
part of it.
She's awful on the show, though. Like we can say two things, Patrick. We can say Patty F, Patty F, PF.
Okay.
We can say Julie is a lovely, lovely woman, and I'd love to have a drink with her and go out to dinner and talk about the show. But she also is pretty awful in studio.
agreed, but I thought the last appearance in studio was better. I thought she
Mm.
interjected at kind of proper times. If you go back, like I went back and listened to it, I thought she interjected at the right times and she kind of stayed out of the way. But I get what you're saying, but I used to be like, anytime she came on, I'd be like, oh, Jesus. Now I
Mm.
think I'd be a little bit okay with it.
I think she's actually more suited to Minifandom. I think this is more her level. Like she should just come on with me every couple of months and talk about the show and what's going on in the background. I think it's a good spot for her.
Yeah, and you can drink too if you want
Mm.
to. You could have a few drinks, happy
Yeah,
hours, things.
liven her up a bit. All right, questions. Andy Mayo. Can we swap Ritalin dosages in Portland?
No, I think I'd overdose, unfortunately. So I'm on Wellbutrin, not Ritalin. Wellbutrin is a combination of attention ADD medicine and an antidepressant.
Mm.
So it hits
So,
both.
so you in a position where this you can't work and the state gives you subsidies, or do you have a job?
I have a job. I have
Oh,
a job. I have a good job.
what
Yeah,
sort
I'm
of
in parking.
can you? What?
I'm in parking.
You're in parking. Okay.
Yep, I work for the second biggest parking company in the United States. I'm saying that like I'm bragging about it, like it's
That is
cool.
so
But
perfect for that is so perfect for the drip lord. Like if you think of anything that sounds more boring than that,
yeah,
like that is,
yeah,
and I'm not
I
knocking it.
was.
Like great. I'm sure it's a great job, and you make a lovely living for your family. But if you were to say this is the perfect job for the drip lord, he works in parking.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I was before I was doing this. I was analyzing revenue per space per year, and yeah, I guess that is kind of a perfect fit for my boring personality. That makes sense.
Shark Minahan. Good evening, Dr. Ford. Now that you are beloved
Good evening.
amongst the Minifans, do you feel more or less pressure to perform? I think we kind of spoke about this before, but do you feel more or less pressure to perform?
No, I don't think so. Not really. I mean, if you most of my tweets before I used to tweet more about kind of like before I really got into the show was sports, but no one was listening at that point. I don't really think I need to
Mm.
perform necessarily at
Okay,
all.
good,
I just
good.
kind of like the people. Kirk.
Excellent. Same. I'm with you, Dr. Ford. And we're having a great show.
Excellent.
I love Minifandom. I'm so glad I've gone back to it. I'm so glad I've ditched Mena's Live and followed my heart. Anyway.
I think if you got more, and I don't know how you don't. I think if you got more callers on Menors Live, it would be. I don't know if it would be
It's not
better than
about
this,
that.
but it'd be a
It's not,
really good product.
it's not about that. It's because I'm the CEO of the network. I have to have some level of decorum, and I have to, like I could do hours just making fun of Steve from Gloucester, but he's one of my guys. I can't do that. I can't do that. I could,
True.
I could. Anyway, there's a lot of material on the network. If someone wants to do a show making fun of people on the network, you should do it, but it can't be me. I've got to be a leader. And if Eric is going to pick up Tiny CEO, I've got to
Yeah,
really
no, you got to think
set
about
some
that
standards.
stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
Ne-
No, you got to think about that.
exactly. Now Roscoe. Now, when I think of worst Minifans of 2023, I think of Roscoe.
You
And
like them secretly.
I
You
don't.
secretly
And
like them.
Montante tells these horror stories about, I think, getting a lift with Roscoe and it being just the most horrific car ride of
Oh,
Montante's
I
life.
forgot that was him. I forgot that was him. That's right.
Anyway,
Coming home from Portland.
his question is, Pat, can you explain the show to Manners? He's got this joke that no one else is in on that he thinks I don't get the show. It's only funny to him.
This joke was relevant when you were asking for promotion of the network, and it wasn't necessarily accurate, but it was definitely usable.
Okay, all right, good answer. Suburban Tug
Thank you.
Time. How much does Andy Mayo want to have sex with Jack Reacher? Do you know? I'll answer this. I would say a lot. Like 10 out of 10.
I'll agree with you. I don't know it
Mm.
for a fact, but yeah, probably 100%.
Um, Speaking of terrible Minifans, we're now to Iowa Minifan. So this is interesting. This is an interesting problem because remember Jeff Lowe has blocked Iowa
Nope.
Minifan. So
Nope. He
this,
unblocked Iowa Minifan.
he
He
did he?
unblocked Iowa
Okay.
Minifan. Yep.
So this is to you. How much do you despise mini manners? And just to be clear,
Not
the Iowa Minifan is so mentally disabled. He cannot spell mini. He spelled it Minny. So, there's probably this inbred hick on his tractor somewhere, with like, three eyes, four noses, little stubbly arms, and he can't even tweet properly. But go on. How much do you
No, I
despise him?
don't. Like I said, I've had those moments where I'm very aggravated with you, but I appreciate the network, so I appreciate you. So, nope, Iowa Minifan. I'll text you after this about it, but unfortunately, no.
Thanks, sweetheart. Nipples. Oh, now Nipples is so boring. I mean, his first question was, "Can you name your top four golf courses?" And I vetoed that. I just said no.
I know, I saw that.
We're just
I
not
saw
talking about
that.
that. But now it's gone. Is the Minifan of the year already decided? Yes, I'm the Minifan of the year. Nipples. Uh, Nipples has asked, "Was McFuss Daddy a valid candidate?" I don't know. I think he was in the discussion, but he was never a strong enough candidate.
I think that's fair.
Has what? And then his strokes come out here. Has an original KMN show since the reboot has been on main show, always avail. So that's not English, Nipples. So I don't even know what you mean. All
And
right.
then he put in there the car ride too,
Yes.
which I think was in 2022.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Nips. Next question. A lot of stroke victims. A lot of stroke victims in the Minifan world. All right. Now this is from
Yeah,
McFuss Daddy. Speaking of,
this is a fair one.
yes.
I'm going
Now,
to address this.
this is probably the most serious issue of the podcast. You were
Agreed.
invited on Mount Kirkmore, part of the network,
Hmm.
and you
Yep.
declined. And the question from McFuss Daddy is, why did you blame Beanbag Ron for not appearing on Mount Kirkmore and then later tweet that you just didn't want to do it? Are you a liar or a coward? Are
It's a
you a
good
liar or a
question. And
coward?
I think I'm probably more of a coward than anything. I'm afraid of a lot of things, mostly animals.
Mm,
Coyotes, I'm really afraid of coyotes. I don't know why. Anywho, no, that's the one thing I look
that's a
back on because
joke.
I was on the show and I said that. I was on the show and I said that. I was like, oh, I didn't really want to go on anyway, that wasn't right. So I apologize to McFuss Daddy on that one. McFuss Daddy only. But no, I mean, I there's no getting around the fact that I am a 100% 10 out of 10 Kimp, Kirk Simp, whatever he
Yes,
wanted.
yeah.
I didn't want to piss him off. I didn't want to do any of that. So I think there's the young man that he co-hosts with, Beanbag Ron, it seems like he's good. He's good now, so good for him. He was on the network, I think, like a week before that, just blitzed out of his mind. And I was like, this guy's a wild card. I don't really want to. Or maybe Beanbag Ron was going in before me. I can't remember exactly which one it was. And yeah, no, I didn't handle that right. That wasn't cool by me. So I apologize to McFuss Daddy.
Okay, so I think at the time, and I think you've just admitted you were just scared you were going to go on, say or do something, and then Kirk was going to turn on you and say, "Fuck the drip lord."
But I will say, it is right. My fear on that time was that Beanbag Ron was going to the studio. I think the week beforehand. So I told McFuss Daddy I want to see how Beanbag Ron does first.
Yeah,
If I had gone on that show and then Beanbag Ron went into studio and he was for like a half an hour there, he was Yellow Shirt Guy 2.0.
he's so
Even though
good.
it totally passed and they got past that, if that had stayed and that was the mantra, I would have got killed.
Okay,
So going back to it, I apologize.
all right. Apology accepted. From
Thank you very much,
Minifan
McFuss Daddy.
Lauren, and one of the biggest falls of a Minifan this year. I did the Rise.
I
Well,
heard that
poor
lot yesterday.
Lauren just. I mean, if you had Lauren stocks in your account, they have decreased in value. Anyway, who would you most like to be
What
paired?
makes you say that? What was her real fall off?
She should put mayo on her Mount Kirkmore of hottest
I know. I just
Minifans
wanted to hear
event.
you say it.
And who would you most like to be paired up with next time you're in studio?
Jeff D. Lowe
Okay, there we go.
would be a dream come true. But anybody, I think Red from Maine, Red tweeted it. Your old co-host, that me and Mayo would be kind of fun in there. I think that would be interesting.
I agree. Byron Leftwich. Now, Byron Leftwich, great fan of the show, wonderful fan of the show. Thanks, Byron. He
Mm-hmm.
watched my Tiny CEO last night live, and he tweeted out a video of him and his partner, the lovely woman, watching the show.
That was funny.
And then he's woken up this morning and deleted it and said, look, he was a bit drunk when he tweeted that out, and he realized maybe his partner, his female companion, doesn't want to be on camera for this. So,
It's fair. I
mm.
get that.
Anyway,
But that was funny.
it was made me very happy to think of um, some Minifan sitting at home after a long Christmas day, just watching Tiny CEO.
That was me.
All right, Byron Leftwich, I'd like to get to know the real Patrick Ford. Where did you grow up? What do you do for a living? Well, we've done the living bit. He's in parking.
Mhm.
But where did you grow up?
A small town called Halifax, Massachusetts, right
Okay,
outside of Plymouth.
right. And where did you go to college? I think we know this because you were in their Hall of Fame, but where did you go?
Rhode Island College. I was an anchorman. Me and Gus. I went.
Okay,
I remember Gus. I never spoke to Gus, but I remember Gus.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was like the weird radio station kid.
Okay, unsurprising.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Kept
I
my
mean,
distance, but
yeah, probably smart. And
speaking
anything
of
else?
videos, that the other video, the who's that guy? John and Warren. Is it John and Warren or John
Yes, yeah,
Bristol?
yeah.
John
He
and
was,
Warren. That
yeah,
was a very funny video, especially at the end when his wife came or girlfriend came over. Did you see that one?
yeah. No, absolutely. He was on Mike and the Minifans last week, and yeah, he's someone that I think should be on the network more. But yeah, that was very funny. Okay, and you do you still play golf? Are you still swinging the clubs, or have you put them away?
Yeah, I still play a couple times a month. Not really too often with a young kid, but
Hmm.
whenever I can, I try to play.
What was that moment like when you realized you weren't going to make it? Like, what was the moment?
Oh, I knew. I think that I knew I was never gonna make it. I played D3 golf, so it wasn't too. But I mean, I tried to do a couple mini tour things. Never worked out. I knew right away. But when you're down in Florida, you have to. Anybody that's trying to make it, they don't work. Their parents foot the bill, and they practice 9 hours a day. At that point, I was like, yeah, no way.
Okay. Last question, suburban tug time. Do you guys think David is a fat, homophobic, miserable prick, or no?
Uh, That I mean, maybe there's a backstory to that tweet from Quinlan, but that was very aggressive. He just
So what happened?
did
Because
you see that?
Quinlan blocks me. What happens?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So Quinlan quote tweeted out a picture. I don't know who it was, but it was some New York Knicks former
Hmm.
player. I think it was them two together, and he's a big black guy. And Daver was like, I don't. Tweeted at Montante maybe saying like, I'm not even going to touch this one, or like, there's endless possibilities for this or something. And Quinlan quote tweeted back to him, was like, "You fat homophobic piece of shit" or something like that. Like very very angry.
Wow.
It made me laugh. Yeah.
Look, Dava and I have had our problems. Dava and Danny are the most difficult people to deal with on the network, but I don't think he's homophobic.
Yeah. What about the other things?
Well, I think fat, miserable prick is probably apt, but I certainly don't think he's homophobic.
Now, why are they difficult to deal with?
They're just very, very demanding. Not even demanding. They're just disorganized. They submit shows late. They're always complaining. They're always whining about something. The show was doing really well on Monday nights. Now they've wanted to move it. So if you look now, it's on Thursday night and he's getting half the amount of views. They think they know everything. David thinks he's like some talent. You ask him any question and he defers to the producer. John from Scranton produces the show and submits it like an hour before it's supposed to be aired. I mean, they're just very, very difficult. I mean, McFuss is the perfect producer. Submits it, plenty of time to air it, no problem. And Danny's just the worst. I mean, he's the sort of person that doesn't go to his friend's wedding because his wife
Nope.
told him
I
not
agree with
to.
them 100%. I agree with them 100%.
Oh,
I
well.
don't like social events.
Yeah, but yeah,
I don't
you're a
like doing
lunatic.
that kind of stuff. So, be the perfect get out of jail free card. Like, sorry, buddy. The old ball and chain's really holding me down. And I'm with Danny on that one.
You're a lunatic. Um,
I do feel bad for him, though. Sounds like he's in a tough spot.
Yes. All right, so that's the listener question. So we'll wrap this up, Paddy Ford, with the segment dedicated to Red's parents. I almost think I want to change the segment to the, I don't know. Anyway, Anyway, at this stage, it's still dedicated to Red Parents. It's what have you been watching? It's been the holidays. Have you been watching any shows, movies? Give it to us.
This is the one part of the show that I was really dreading because my answer is you're not gonna want to hear my answer. I don't watch anything. I watch the Celtics play basketball and I
Okay.
listen to the show. And other than that, I watch The Grinch with my son.
Okay, beautiful. The Celtics played the Lakers, didn't they, on Christmas Day?
They did. They
Who
did. They
won?
won.
Who won?
Celtics won.
Great. You say you're a big Celtics fan.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's
There's
torturous. It's
a lot of,
torturous.
lot of similarities with Kirk Seamus Minahan. All right. Well, I did
Oh,
watch.
what did you before we go? Your sport is rugby, right? What did you think of the Coleman guy? Who he was on Mike and the Minifans on Friday?
The
He
cricket
has the
guy.
Coleman parody.
The cricket
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
cricket lover. Yeah, the People's Republic of Coleman. He was
Yep.
great.
He was a huge hit. People loved him.
I want to get him on Minifandom and get to know him a bit more. I just loved he'd be, grab these he'd be just swigging from this, 4-liter bottle of water the whole time.
His hands are like
Mm.
catcher's mitts right in front too.
Yeah, he was
I liked him.
fantastic. All right, so recommendations. I watched Rebel Moon on Netflix, the new Zack Snyder film. Very enjoyable. Not a great film, but if you like a bit of trashy science fiction, Minifandom listeners, Rebel Moon is good. And then Jeff D'Lo was on KMS recently talking about Ocean's 11 is the perfect movie. And I haven't seen. You should watch it because you're, Jeff D'Lo's boyfriend, so you should support him. He
I'll
thinks
watch it if he said.
he thinks it's a perfect movie. So that's the original one from I think 2000, early 2000s. So I went and watched that. Good Christmas Day movie. Look, it's when you've got in your head it's a perfect movie going in. It's never going to live up to that.
It's gonna be. Yep.
But I have to say, it does age very well. Like some movies from 20 years ago don't age well. It ages excellently, and Andy Garcia is very good. And I went to see the new Hunger Games movie. I took my kid to that. He wanted to see it. That was with Rachel Ziegler, and that was just fine. I mean, killed a few hours, so whatever. But Slow Horses is the show. Slow Horses is my show of the year, so I think you should go and watch it.
Slow horses.
On
Okay.
Apple TV.
I won't.
Yeah, I know. You'll be watching The Grinch and the Celtics. Well, Patty F, Dr. Ford, Drip Lord, Lord of the Drips, King of the Drips. Thanks so much for coming on Minifandom. Anything you want to say to the fans before we wrap it up?
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and thank you, Kirk, for allowing me to be here.
Excellent, very
By
good.
giving me a chance to
sucking
come on
up
the show a
right
couple
here.
times. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So yeah, yeah, good. Well, Kirk's going to be on the network this week. Quantum Kirk, whenever it's submitted. So it hasn't been submitted yet. So I can't set it up or anything. It's hard for me to release it if I don't have it. But that'll be on this week, and then we'll get the best of an hour before the next show probably. So yeah, stay tuned for all that content. I'm hoping to do another Minifandom this week. I'm not sure when, but I'd love to jump
With
on.
who?
I don't know, with Mayo. I want to lock him down, but also I'll reach out to some other guests. Maybe there'll be something New Year's Eve. Who knows? But yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back on the network soon.
James
I'll
Corden.
do it. I'll do it. I'll host the Tonight Show.
All right.
Yeah, I'll do
Good.
it. If I get stripped of it, I won't fucking cry like Conan for like 6 months and grow a beard and fucking act like a bitch.
What? I'm not acting like a bitch.
What?
Huh? You say Conan act like a bitch? Zoned out for a second.